March 25th, evening reading, Joshua 19, 20, 21. Allotment for Simeon, Joshua 19. So the second lot came out for the tribe of Simeon, according to its clans. Their inheritance lay within the territory of Judah. It included Beersheba or Sheba, Moladah, Hazar Shaul, Bala, Ezem, Eltolad, Bethel, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hazar, Susha, Beth Laboth, and Sharaun, 13 towns and their villages. Ain, Ramon, Ether, and Ashen, 4 towns and their villages, and all the villages around these towns as far as Balath Bear, Ramah in the Negev. This was an inheritance of the tribe of the Simeonites, according to its clans. The inheritance of the Simeonites was taken from the share of Judah, because Judah's portion was more than they needed. So the Simeonites received their inheritance within the territory of Judah. Allotment for Zebulun. The third lot came up for Zebulun, according to its clans. The boundary of their inheritance went as far as Sarid. Going west, it ran to Maralah, touched Dabbasith, and extended to the ravine near Jokanim. It turned east from Sarid toward the sunrise to the territory of Kisloth Tabor, and went on to Dabereth and up to Japheth. Then it continued eastward to Gath Hefer and Eth Kazin. It came out at Rimmon and turned toward Neah. There the boundary went around on the north to Hanath and ended at the valley of Epta El. Included were Katath, Nahalala, Shimron, Adalah, and Bethlehem. There were 12 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of Zebulun, according to its clans. Allotment for Ishar. The fourth lot came out for Ishar, according to its clans. The territory included Jezreel, Kesloth, Shanim, Haparam, Shion, Anareth, Rabith, Kishion, Abez, Rameth, En Ganem, Hen Hadah, and Beth Pazaz. The boundary touched Tabor, Shah Hazimah, and Beth Shemesh, and ended at the Jordan. There were 16 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Ishar, according to its clans. Allotment for Asher. The fifth lot came out for the tribe of Asher, according to its clans. The territory included Helkath, Halah, Beten, Akshpheth, Alamelech, Amad, and Mishal. On the west, the boundary touched Carmel and Shahor Libnath. It then turned east toward Beth Dagon, touched Zebulun and the valley of Epatah El, and went north to Beth Emek and Neal, passing Kabul on the right. It went to Adbadon, Rehob, Haman, Kanah, as far as Greater Sidon. The boundary then turned back toward Ramah and went to the fortified city of Tyre, turned toward Hoshah, and came out at the Mediterranean Sea in the region of Akzib, Ammah, Aphek, and Rohab. There were 22 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Asher, according to its clans. Allotment for Nephtali. The sixth lot came out for Nephtali, according to its clans. The boundary went from Helpha and there and the large tree and Zanananim, passing Adamah, Nekeb, and Jabnedel to Lakim, and ending at the Jordan. The boundary ran west through Aznoth and Tabor and came out at Hakuk. It touched Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and the Jordan on the east. The fortified towns were Ziddim, Zur, Hamath, Rakath, Kinnereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kadesh, Edrei, En Hazor, Iron, Migdal, Hel, Harem, Beth Anath, and Beth Shemesh. There were 19 towns and their villages. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Nephtali, according to its clans. Allotment for Dan. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of Dan, according to its clans. The territory of their inheritance included Zorar, Eshtaol, Ir Shemesh, Shalalabin, Jalon, Etalah, Elan, Timnah, Ekron, Eltekeh, Giberthon, Balath, Jehud, Ben Barak, Gath Ramon, Me Jarkon, and Raycon, with the area facing Joppa. When the territory of the Danites was lost to them, they went up and attacked Lashem, took it, put it to the sword, and occupied it. They settled in Lashem and named it Dan after their ancestor. These towns and their villages were the inheritance of the tribe of Dan, according to its clans. Allotment for Joshua. When they had finished dividing the land into its allotted portions, the Israelites gave Joshua, son of Nun, an inheritance among them, as the Lord had commanded. They gave him the town he asked for, Timnath Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim. And he built up the town and settled there. These are the territories that Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal clans of Israel assigned by lot at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. And so they finished dividing the land. Cities of refuge, Joshua 20. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Tell the Israelites to designate the cities of refuge, as I instructed you through Moses, so that anyone who kills a person accidentally and unintentionally may flee there and find protection from the avenger of blood. When they flee to one of these cities, they are to stand in the entrance of the city gate and state their case before the elders of that city. Then the elders are to admit the fugitive into their city and provide a place to live among them. If the avenger of blood comes in pursuit, the elders must not surrender the fugitive, because the fugitive killed their neighbor unintentionally and without malice aforethought. They are to stay in that city until they have stood trial before the assembly and until the death of the high priest who is serving at that time. Then they may go back to their own home in the town from which they fled." So they set apart Kadesh in Galilee in the hill country of Nephtali, Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah. East of the Jordan, on the other side from Jericho, they designated Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau in the tribe of Reuben, Ramoth and Gilead in the tribe of Gad, and Golan and Bashan in the tribe of Manasseh. Any of the Israelites or any foreigner residing among them who killed someone accidentally could flee to these designated cities and not be killed by the avenger of blood prior to standing trial before the assembly. Towns for the Levites, Joshua 21. Now the family heads of the Levites approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the other tribal families of Israel at Shiloh in Canaan, and said to them, "The Lord commanded through Moses that you give us towns to live in, with pasture lands for our livestock." So as the Lord had commanded, the Israelites gave the Levites the following towns and pasture lands out of their own inheritance. The first lot came out for the Kohathites according to their clans. The Levites, who were descendants of Aaron, the priests, were allotted 13 towns from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. The rest of the Kohath's descendants were allotted 10 towns from the clans of the tribes of Ephraim, Dan, and half of Manasseh. The descendants of Gershon were allotted 13 towns from the clans of the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and the tribe of Manasseh and Bashan. The descendants of Merari, according to their clans, received 12 towns from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the Israelites allotted to the Levites these towns and their pasture lands, as the Lord had commanded through Moses. From the tribes of Judah and Simeon, they allotted the following towns by names. These towns were assigned to the descendants of Aaron, who were from the Kohathite clans of the Levites, because their first lot fell on them. They gave them Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, with its surrounding pasture land in the hill country of Judah. Arba was the forefather of Anak. But the fields and villages around the city they had given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his possession. So to the descendants of Aaron, the priests, they gave Hebron, a city of refuge for one accused of murder. Libnah, Jatir, Eshtemoa, Halon, Debir, Aon, Juttah, and Beth Shemesh, together with their pasture lands, 9 towns from these 2 tribes. And from the tribe of Benjamin, they gave them Gibeon, Geba, Anathoth, and Almon, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. The total number of towns for the priests, the descendants of Aaron, came to 13, together with their pasture lands. The rest of the Kohathite clans of the Levites were allotted towns from the tribe of Ephraim. In the hill country of Ephraim, they were given Shechem, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, and Gezer, Kibzaim, and Beth Horon, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. Also from the tribe of Dan, they received Eltekeh, Gibbethon, Ajalon, and Gath Rimmon, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From half the tribe of Manasseh, they received Tanakh and Gath Rimmon, together with their pasture lands, 2 towns. All these 10 towns and the pasture lands were given to the rest of the Kohathite clans. The Levite clans of the Gershonites were given from half the tribe of Manasseh, Golan and Bashan, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, and Be-Esterah, together with their pasture lands, 2 towns. From the tribe of Eshar, Kishion, Daberath, Jarmuth, and En-Ganim, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Asher, Mishalah, Ebdon, Helkath, and Rehob, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Naphtali, Kadesh and Galilee, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, Hamath, Dor, and Kartan, together with their pasture lands, 3 towns. The total number of towns of the Gershonite clans came to 13, together with their pasture lands. The Merarite clans, the rest of the Levites, were given from the tribe of Zebulun, Jochanim, Kartah, Dimnah, and Nahalal, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Reuben, Bezer, Jahaz, Kedemoth, and Mephaah, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Gad, Ramoth, and Galilee, a city of refuge for one accused of murder, Mahananim, Heshbon, and Jezer, together with their pasture lands, 4 towns in all. The total number of towns allotted to the Merarite clans, who were the rest of the Levites, came to 12. The towns of the Levites and the territory held by the Israelites were 48 in all. Together with these pasture lands, each of these towns had pasture lands surrounding it. This was true for all these towns. So the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their ancestors. Not one of their enemies withstood them. The Lord gave all their enemies into their hands. Not one of all the Lord's good promises to Israel failed. Every one was fulfilled. That concludes our reading.